Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to some of you, and peace out to the rest of you. The blackest hearted, blackest minded, blackest man on social media, signing black in and shining again, asking you to hit the share button because the message is more important than the messenger. So this message, if I get right to it, is going to be about the black Islamophobe. And let me start by saying that I was in a group, private group on Facebook, and one of its admins had a few disparaging things to say about dark-skinned women before, but he didn't say or specify that it absolutely had to be our opinions too. So I didn't immediately go to war with him about this. Didn't do anything like that. But I figured, well, it's just a matter of time before he says something that's really out of pocket and just out darn near racist. Well, I woke up this morning and I saw that somebody else had posted something saying that Solo TV is Muslim, identifying him as a Muslim and asking, isn't that a pookie religion? You can understand why people who don't know much, let's say who are illiterate, could think such a thing. But here's the problem. If you're literate enough to open up a Facebook account, then you're literate enough to read and find out that it's an older faith. If you take just the last revelation of it, see, we believe that it is from the time of creation. But if you believe just from the last revelation, from the last prophet, that precedes the existence of the English language, let alone pookie. Right? So then I said, well, I can't really overlook this. But because he posted that, the admin of the group that had stuff to say about dark-skinned women who didn't go as far as to say that we all had to share that opinion, decided to insult Muhammad ibn Abdullah, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now that's going into blasphemy. To insult any prophet is going into blasphemy. It is a capital offense. I don't apologize for it. However, I assume he lives in the States. There's no Sharia there. It's not the responsibility of any of us to go and throw our lives away in an attempt to enact vigilante justice and do this dude in. I'm still not going to put his name out there this time, nor the name of the one that shot me that DM and insulted Muhammad, who I later blocked. This time. I'm not giving up the name of the group because the group's not even responsible. A lot of them are Muslims and they did speak up. But I went ahead and said to them, may Allah curse both of you. And I'm going to give you all time to see this message from me, and then I'll voluntarily leave the group myself. When I got a response, I said, okay, I've seen that you've seen the message. Bye. And I left the group. Then I got the DM from some punk whose name I done forgot already, and I blocked him. Now, that being said, I'm not throwing the names out anyway. The one who sent me the DMs, I forgot his name, so I couldn't disclose it. But moving forward, I will. And here's why. Whatever screen name I see, you do it publicly on any platform, or you come in my DMs and you do it. I'm going to put your name out there, and here's why I'm going to do it. Even though nothing violent and illegal is going to happen to you, boycotts are not illegal. For you to lose business or lose your job is not illegal. There's no law protecting you from being poor. And in this COVID economy, that's going to be even worse. And when you wind up having to do something desperate to get by, you're more likely to be caught by someone who's more of your mindset, another black Islamophobe. Or at least a black person that's just not Muslim. And what are you going to do when you're in these desperate situations? Turn to God for help? You just insulted his prophets. And that's why you're in that position. So how you going to call on him for help? Anyway, this being said, this having been said, I want to point this out about black folks and Islamophobia. First of all these things that many of them are saying are not true. Islam never became some force for the destruction of black Africa. It never was. It allowed for, there were empires before Islam and independent of it. And then there were empires that came about after Islam and because of it. And they both went through the natural cycles of a rise and a fall, and they're not there anymore. But I am going to say this: it has been instrumental in liberation. The only role the Arab plays oftentimes is a type of introduction. And even then, a lot of Africans didn't learn about Islam through an Arab, they learned about it through another African. It spread more quickly through Black Africa than any Arab population could have ever spread, if you really want to know the truth. Every tribe in Somalia accepted it except one tribe, and they went ahead and moved into Ethiopia. Didn't even stay in Somalia. So there was a man named Ahmed Yusuf Gabroon from Somalia. I'm not just saying this because my wife is from the same region. She doesn't know who this guy is. I know because I asked her. I asked her cousin, and then I asked another man from the same country who's from a different tribe. They didn't know who Ahmed Yusuf Gabroon was. I did. I had to tell them. He went in, as I said before, into Zanzibar, killed Omani enslavers, and liberated Bantu slaves. He didn't ask them, are you Muslim? He just liberated them. Wide nose, big lip, 4C, nappy headed, big foot Bantus. He liberated them. He said, nobody owns you at this point. I kid you not. And he killed the Omani enslavers because they had begun to single out black people for slavery. And he wasn't going for that. This is the liberator who was a Muslim. Now, let me tell you some more stuff that happened. Even before this, when the Mongols were sweeping around, one place they didn't manage to get. See, the Mongols met their defeat on the African continent not once, but twice. You see, at Ain Jalut, which is actually, I think it was on the Egyptian side of the border today, they got defeated by Egyptian troops, but I don't know if these were black Egyptians or they were probably a mix. That's where they met their defeat. But they also met their defeat on the eastern coast of Africa by Somalis, according to a history website. I forgot the name of it, sorry. But it wasn't talked about. However, Islam was never this colonizing, invading, anti-black force in black Africa like people say. Then fast forward to the Americas. The Wolof had a revolt in 1521 to 1522, around the time that the year changed, if I'm not mistaken. They allied with the Taínos, but they were Wolof. They were Muslims. Then, to top it off, there was a Bahia revolt, the Mali revolt in Bahia of 1835. I've mentioned this before. So Islam is not some enslaving anti-black force. It has actually made its adherents more difficult to keep in slavery in many cases. And Doroba bin Wahad in modern history was a force to be reckoned with. I forgot all the stuff he did. I know he was instrumental in the liberation of Assata Shakur. She didn't just get free by herself. She had help. She will tell you that. I don't know how much time Doroba bin Wahad had to serve, but he was and is a Sunni Muslim. So anyway, the black Islamophobe is actually being farmed by our enemies to become an enemy to his own solution. And the most common thing, you see, you can get a white supremacist Islamophobe riled up simply because Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was an Arab and he wasn't white. Now, some of you say, no, he was white. See, black folks will call Arabs white. Remember, white folks don't call Arabs white unless we're in the room, and then they'll say, no, he's white. Calling Arabs white is something that's only done in front of us. Or something that the Arabs themselves will do. They'll say that they're white. But in reality, we already know how white folk feel about Arabs. We get that. It's clear as day. That's why they got a problem with Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If he had been a white European northern Viking with the same exact things being said, but just he said it in the Norse language, then it would have spread. They would have said, "Oh my goodness, this is right. This is a continuation of the message of Jesus." And then they would have gone around the world and colonized as Muslims, more than likely. Or not, because they would have had a different sense of justice. In any case, what I'm getting at is that white supremacist Islamophobia is different from the new breed of black Islamophobia. However, the problem is that the black Islamophobes have been formed by the enemies of us, so that they will be an enemy to their own solution. You don't have to believe that it's a solution just because I say so. You research it, you'll find it out. However, what I'm getting at here is that they want you to think, those of you that are black folk, and you say you will single out Islam for any extra opposition like these two guys did in this group that I left. I'm telling you this. They will sit up here and tell you that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam did the unspeakable against a child. That's what they'll say. Now, there are differences between the scholars as to what age she was when she married. But one thing that everyone agreed on, her father even vouched for him in this, he did not do the unspeakable against the child. You'll find that out if you study long enough. But there was a point where Abu Bakr, may Allah be pleased with him, that's Aisha's father, had to ask him why he had not consummated the marriage. Now, she'd been a kid. Chances are that would not have been a question. That wouldn't have been a question at that point. You don't ask. I mean, even when they did child marriages, you didn't have to ask the adult why there was no consummation with the child. You didn't have to ask that question. However, when there are two adults that are married and they don't consummate, then you got to ask why not. Or at least you got to wonder why not, even if you say it's not my business, but it is a question that comes up. We don't know the answer to it. Whereas if they're kids, if either one is a kid, you'd say, well, I know why the marriage is not consummated. One of them's still a child. And that's if you win a child marriages in the first place. Back then, people did it for political reasons oftentimes. But the point I'm making is that he didn't do the unspeakable against the child. That's something that her dad vouched for, she vouched for. And this is not something that the scholars differed on. So what they're doing is they're coming to you and telling you this because you have a sense of right and wrong. So they got to lie to you about him. But understand that these are the people that lied about the other prophets that are mentioned in their own books. You see, they tell you that Solomon married idol worshippers, worshipped idols, and practiced magic. Peace be to him. That's a further-mucking lie. Because if you are the Lord and you raise up a prophet to be a king, or you take a king and make him a prophet, so he's a prophet and a king, he's getting revelation directly from you. If you are that Lord, are you going to supply revelation to him after he leaves and starts to worship other gods? Or would you cause him to forget everything and just leave him to his own devices? Whatever the case is, you ain't going to sit up and continue giving revelation about salvation to a man who's practicing divination. Okay? They say his dad before him, peace be to him, committed adultery. We say he was not an adulterer. We know what his actual mistake was, his wrongdoing was, and it was more of an honest mistake from forgetfulness than anything else. Adultery was not it. We know this. We the Muslims know this. So these are the same people that lied on the prophets they say they believe in. Or they're the descendants of the ones who lied on these prophets in which they said they believed, in whom they said they believed. And we're the ones sitting up saying, no, that's not the case. No, they're not guilty of this stuff. Noah didn't get drunk, nor did he dig out his own daughters to repopulate the planet. No, David didn't commit adultery. No, Solomon didn't commit idol worship or practicing magic. And all these other things they say about the others. No, they didn't do these things. We're the ones saying that they were innocent. As a matter of fact, there are some who say that The Messiah was God, the Son of God, and there are others who say that he was a fraud and that his mother was loose, and I seek refuge from that. And we're the ones in the middle saying, no, 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 no. He was a human being, and he was an innocent human being. We're the ones who standing between these two who should be at each other's throats, and instead they're ganging up on us. Did not your own book tell you that one of the signs of whoever is right would be that they would get ganged up on by everybody else? Who fits that definition today? But that's another topic. Last thing I'm going to say to the black Islamophobes is this. If you're going to sit up and say that it was some kind of conquering force, well, I can tell you that the people in black Africa that accepted it on their own. The other thing I can tell y'all too is that if black unity is so necessary, and I think that for practical reasons, it certainly is, not black agreement and black uniformity, but black cooperation and mutual self-defense. That is necessary. But if you want to see even more than that, you got a higher chance of seeing that in black masajid than you have of seeing that elsewhere. If you want to see black people from different black backgrounds be able to marry and stay together with a solid framework for it, you got a better chance of seeing that in a masjid than you do of seeing that in a church. You go to a black church. Well, what kind of black is it? Oh, that's a Liberian church. Well, that's a Sierra Leonean church. That's the Haitian church. You see what I'm saying? That's the African American church. They're AME and they're AME Zion and they're CME and they're Baptist. And so you see it's fragmented. Can they intermarry? Certainly. But the church is fragmented. Can they internationally marry? They do try. But if you want to see where it is done without so much as a second thought, you better off. I mean, that's where you want to see the Muslim black communities. I'm a Creole married to an African Muslim from the Horn of Africa, and I'm spoiled. And she told me today that she's spoiled, that I had spoiled her. May Allah bless her. And may Allah make me of those who deserve the compliment that she gave me. I could tell you about a Gambian and an Eritrean that are happily married. The husband's Gambian. The mom's Eritrean. I used to teach their daughter. They doing good. I can tell you about, in the UK, you can see Jamaicans married to Ethiopian Muslims. You can see Jamaicans married to Somalis. Whether the man is Somali and she's Jamaican, or whether he's Jamaican and she's Somali, you can see it. And they can split up or they can stick together. They don't have a higher divorce rate, certainly. Matter of fact, the times I've seen black folks from different backgrounds marry each other, well, they usually stuck together as long as they had hashed everything out from the very beginning. I can meet a brother from New York married to a Halimo from the Horn, from Somalia or from Djibouti. And decades later, they're still together. I can see someone that is Creole married to an Afro-Latino or Afro-Latina that has also accepted Islam. I can see that. You see what I'm saying? So if black folk need some kind of unity, like what some of the slow teps and no teps are inclined to say, which genuine hoteps are also going to say, and I understand that. But if this is so paramount, then why don't you look to the example that has actually produced international black successful marriages that already have decades of track records of staying together? See, SYSBM, relatively new, recently speaking. Brothers are getting married. They're marrying women from Southeast Tropical Asia. They're marrying non-African Latinas, and they're marrying mostly marrying Afro-Latinas from Brazil, from a Spanish-speaking country in the Americas, or from the continent itself. But the uptick in this is more of a recent thing. But amongst Muslims who are black, you will have seen this already be the case. Couples that have been together for 2 decades. He's black from one place, she's black from another. Their languages or their first languages are even different. Their cultures are different. But when they become Muslim, they have something to which they can refer in the event that the cultures differ. And they can stay together. And they've done it. And I know because I've met them and I've taught their kids. And I've heard about them and I've met their friends when I haven't met them. So if it's important, well, here is your high likelihood of success for it. But understand that you have been formed. If you have this hatred for Islam itself and you want to curse Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam or any other prophet by extension, understand that you have been formed by white supremacists to become an enemy to your own solution. And I'm going to tell you another analogy in case you don't understand what I mean. Then I'm done. And I've tried to make this short multiple times, but I couldn't. So sorry about the length of this. This will probably be about 25 minutes total, and I'm 20 minutes in now. When you are manic, when you are bipolar, you got to take medicine for it. I think that's what Chad Wheeler stopped doing, and he flipped the up fountain. We already know what he did to his girlfriend, and it's only 6 months they've been together. Bow down to me. Chokes her to death, or so he thinks. Look, when you are bipolar, you got to take medicine to govern it. So guess what? Do you know one of the things that can mess up and make it ineffective? You can take it. You can take the medicine and then make it ineffective before it actually affects your system after you've taken it or before you take it. That's alcohol. It does not work with alcohol in your system. Oh, yeah. So if I am your enemy and you are bipolar, or you would be bipolar because of something that I did to you, that I traumatized you with, I'm going to pass away soon. But I want to say to my own offspring, if you want to keep him bipolar and dependent upon you for functionality, understand this: you can't hide the medicine from him. It's too readily available. If you can hide it, sure, but if they find out about it, make sure that you already have them in the habit of accepting alcohol from you, so that if they do find the medicine, it will be ineffective because they're taking something to counteract it. And then they will say the medicine doesn't work, they won't take it, and they will remain bipolar as they look for something else to fix it. That's exactly what the white supremacist Islamophobe has done to you. They kept giving you the alcohol. They kept giving you the shots of bourbon. You finally found out about the solution, only now you don't think it's a solution because you continue to take other things from them that would counteract it. Failing to understand that in actuality, when it was applied without the alcohol, so to speak, it worked. I hope that I was able to explain this well. My only job was to convey the message, and I did attempt to do it. Thank you all for listening. This has once again been the blackest hearted, blackest minded, blackest man on social media, signing black out. Assalamu alaikum again, and peace to the rest of you. And black heterosexual non-select male power just because they don't like it. And black patriarchy until extinction of Judgment Day, because that's what we need. But also, as you've heard me say, power to those who have accepted that there is no God to worship except one God, and who have accepted all of his messengers up until Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because therein lies the solution. Thanks for listening. Black out.